Welcome back to the Iron Sights podcast. I'm here tonight with my new buddy, Mike Lee.
Hey, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm so pumped to have you here, man. I'm really good. So we got together tonight. I got connected with you through a couple of buddies of ours, mutual buddies, the Cook brothers.
The Cook boys.
Yeah, the Cook boys, man. They're super good friends. They're also a good time if you...
Oh, trust me. I've had my fair share of experiences.
So when they said, man, you got to connect with Mike because he'd be a good talk and a good conversation and just a good connection, I'm like, well, let's do it. So here we are.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, it took a little bit for us to get in the room together with the scheduling, the coordinating. And so first things first, I super appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to be here and share that time with me, man.
Dude, I'm just happy to be here, bro. I'm always, as long as we can put it on the calendar, we'll make time, make it happen.
Yeah,
that's me.
The calendar thing. Yeah, that was the challenge. And now we're here. So I'm going to set this up. So this is the way I'm going to set this up. And it basically works like this. So everybody knows somebody like this, knows somebody like Mike. And Mike, and this is I guess what I would say about this. At some point, you run into somebody, like you're at a party, you're at a gathering, and somebody introduces you, much like this has happened, and you get connected with this guy and say, "Hey, man, you got to meet this guy, Mike." Cool, Mike, what's up? And the next thing you know, it's like an hour and a half later, and you're still just kind of chopping it up. You're having a good time. There's just good conversation going, and Mike seems to know everybody, right? Like everybody's, Mike, what's up? You know, everybody coming into the party knows Mike, right? And Mike's connected. And it seems like once you leave the party, you're like, man, that guy Mike, he was cool. Like we need to hang out again. We need to chill. And when you get home, you realize, I don't even know what Mike does, but Mike seems to know everybody. Like he seems to be all in the right place, all at the right times. He's got a bit of style to him. Like there's just kind of like, but there's also this mystique and that's who you are. And I think everybody can kind of relate to that at the end of today. So we're going to uncover who Mike Lee is and what he's all about, man. Let's
do it. Yeah. It's so funny. So I got the nickname, the Mayor of San Jose. I was like, all right, I don't know how that happened. Cause I knew so many people, right? Well, cheers before we get started.
Cheers, man. Yeah.
Hey, thanks again.
You're welcome.
This is really good.
It's delicious. Yeah, it's this Clyde Mays cask barrel deliciousness. Yeah, highly recommend it.
Okay, cool. Sweet. Yeah, so one of my really close girlfriends was like, hey, Mike, I'm going to start calling you Bruce Wayne. And I was like, I don't want to be Batman, right? That's too much for me. It's like Bruce Wayne. I was like, why? Because people know and they see you out doing all this stuff, politics, whatever, but no one really knows what you do at night. And I was like, all right, I guess, sure, whatever. And then the reason why I know so many people is because I'm from San Jose, right?
Okay.
I was born in East Bay. I was raised here in San Jose. Local elementary school, local high school, local college. So all the people that I got to know growing up were all people from San Jose. So I get to be a product of my environment. That's why everyone's like, oh, Mike, like, oh, I know Mike. But the Mike that people knew in high school is different than the Mike that people knew in college.
Well, how so?
Right. So high school Mike, I had the biggest glow up out of anyone like that you've ever seen in life. Okay. I used to be 140 pounds, like super nerd. I ended up getting a full ride to San Jose State for some space program I did at Valley Christian.
So you're academic.
Yeah. Sometime. I have a good way with words. Okay. I'll say that. Okay. I have a way with words. And so I ended up getting a full ride to San Jose State. And that was like my people from high school know me as Michael Lee. Right.
Okay.
And then ended up doing that. And then college is when I was kind of like, you know, when you're in college, it's the only time I realize now it's the only time in your life where you will be exposed to so many people. Mm-hmm. There is no other period of time in your adult life where you're going to have that many different people who are just down to talk to you for no fucking, wait, can I swear?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. For no fucking reason. Yeah. Right. So I'm like, you know what? Like, let me take advantage of that.
All right.
So like I joined so many different groups. I got to meet a lot of people. I've always been friendly. Like, hey, if you're a cool person, you got good energy, like we could talk, have a conversation.
Let's do this, yep.
You know? I don't care about your background. I don't care about what you've done. I don't care about what you do. Like, let's just have a chat, right? I have friends that in college were selling drugs. I have friends whose families were super well off. I have friends in between who didn't do shit with their life. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's like, but I just look at everyone the same, right? And I go, I don't care where you came from or, you know, like who you know and all this other stuff. You're a cool person, you're a cool person, right? And I kind of took that with me like throughout the rest of my life today, right? So that's how I kind of learned to really get to know people, right? And I care about people. Like, I don't care about what you do or how you do it. I just care about if you're a good person, you know, at the end of the day, because everyone has history. Everyone has fucking an experience that they went through, you know.
There's an agenda. Seems like there's always an
agenda. Like,
you know, the interesting part about what you're saying about San Jose too is not a lot of people grow up here and stay here. A lot of people, you know, they get to a certain point like, I'm ready to get out of here, you know, and they move. And it might not be very far away, but they don't necessarily stay like in San Jose. The other part about that is there's so many people here in San Jose that move here as adults, professionally.
Right.
I mean, there's so many transplants here. I mean, our business here at the gym is much like that. We see people kind of come in and go, and they're coming from not just like the surrounding area. They're coming from all over the country, but all over the world too. So it's interesting when I run into somebody, because I did most of my growing up here too. You know, I came here and I was about third grade, whatever that is, like 8 years old. But I left and I was gone for like 15 years of my young adult life, which is where you were establishing all these relationships. And then I moved back. And what's interesting when I moved back is it was tougher to create those relationships because of what I just said. Most of the people that I had grown up with were not here anymore. And there's a lot of people moving in that, you know, were kind of into their professional careers and busy and family and things and obligations like that. So that's interesting. Like we that you've grown up here and stayed here, because it's not a super common tale in San Jose.
Yeah, I hear that a lot.
It's interesting. I mean, San Jose does have some things to offer, but for whatever reason, people are bailing out.
Well, I mean, like, you know, when people come to a new city, like I've really learned, I've got networking down to a science, and I spent a long time doing that. So I used to run Silicon Valley Young Professionals. Before I became president, I was heavily involved in all the young professional groups because I just wanted to understand people, right? I did this crazy social experiment on myself when I turned 21. So my mom's going to see this and be like, what did you do? So, when I was 21, I went out every single weekend, and I talked to like everybody, men, women, whoever, to kind of understand what kind of person I am when I talk to people, right? Because people don't take the time to explore who they are and how they communicate. And not only that, they don't take the time to experience how other people communicate towards you, right? And that comes back into play in any professional environment, whether you're in sales or marketing or even project management, work with people, it doesn't matter. Once you know how to communicate and you understand how other people communicate, you can make better decisions, and you know not to overreact. You know how to, you know, take things around and do it that way. So I did that for about a year. Right.
So can I time out for a second? So when you say you went out every weekend, are you talking about like you went out socially, like to the clubs, to the scene?
Everything. Like I did bars, I did Santana Row, like Hotel Valencia.
All right. For those people that don't know Santana Row, it's like, it's kind of the spot. Like
it's the spot.
It's kind of the spot.
The bougie spot.
Yeah. To say the least.
To say the least.
At least that's what San Jose has to offer anyways.
Literally, yes. Yeah. So I did that. I went out there. I went out to different places in college. Like I wanted to get experience of all types of people. Got it. Right. So like I have friends that are my age, you know, 25, 26, 27, and I have friends that are like 40, 50, right? Because I got to meet people, and I just like, I don't care your age. I can learn something, you know, and I never have an agenda. I'm just like, let's have a conversation and see what happens.
What was it? What drove this, man? Because, you know, I went to college. I actually went to San Jose State for a year. That was the first place I went. I went to college, to a couple of them. And that never crossed my mind, right? So, you know, I did have an agenda. It was to go to school, you know, take my classes, pass my tests, move on. There was some athletics there for a little bit, so I was focused there. And I didn't live down there. I lived with my folks at the time who are still here in San Jose. So I would commute down, and then I got to be honest, as soon as school was over, as soon as I was done with my dad, I was looking to get out. Like there was nothing down here for me in my mind. So my question is this social experiment at 21, even at 21, I wasn't living here anymore. I wasn't thinking like that. I was like, if I was going to the party, I was going to party.
Yeah.
You know, I certainly wasn't that aware. So what's driving that for you at that point in your life to think that way?
Well, so I learned very early on that so actually I'll tell you exactly what it was. So my mom was like, be nice to everyone because you never know that you can meet one person that's just going to take you around the fucking world and just open you up to a whole new life experience.
It's a good lesson.
And so we'll get into it, but I've had multiple of those experiences because I've gotten to know people. But I always did it because I always thought people were interesting. Like I've always like, wow, there's something I could learn from this person, something I could hear about. And some people are just fucking assholes, right? And then you get to experience all aspects of people. But one thing that I wanted to get was I wanted to understand because a lot of us act the same as another person we've met. Like there's a lot of commonalities and similarities, right? Okay. And so once I was able to kind of do that social experiment and figure out what all those commonalities are, you know, my little what's called a Venn diagram. I said, okay, cool. Now I know how to tackle these things. Where'd it come from? I don't know. I started my first business when I was 19. So I knew it took people to kind of, you know.
What was that? So
my first business was IT. So I was doing that at Valley Christian, fixing computers, doing all this stuff.
So high school,
yeah. I was making pretty decent money. I was tutoring. I used that money to buy my first car, a bunch of other stuff.
So were you money motivated? Is that what was driving it, or that was just kind of a byproduct of the whole thing?
So I'll tell you what motivated me. So kind of a personal story. So growing up, when I was in high school, my parents were getting divorced, right? And like I didn't know what was going on at home. And I came home one day and they're changing the locks on my door. They were like, hey, sorry, you don't live here anymore, you know? And so as a kid, I had to figure out a way of, okay, how can I provide for my family? Because my dad, that was the last time I saw my dad for like 3 or 4 years, right? And so it was me, my mom, my sister. We were like legally homeless for like almost 2 years. And we got, you know, I was like, you know, I could either go out and sell drugs or do something else, or I could just figure it out, right? And figure out what skill set I have and use that to my advantage to help take care of my family. So I was busting my ass, like the IT work. I was working at Cafe Rosalina up the street.
Yeah, man. It's the breakfast burrito hub spot.
I was just there today. Yeah. I was working at Cafe Rosalina. I was tutoring. I was doing all this stuff, trying to make as much money as I can because I had to pay tuition for my schooling and I had to figure out how, like, I don't want to be homeless, you know, like I don't want to be living with family friends. Like we need to get our own space. So had to really hustle bustle to figure that out. So that's really where my drive came from. Like, it wasn't like money is always a great factor of working hard, but it's like, I have to make sure my family's taken care of at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's a lot, man. I've had several people sit in that chair, right? And talk to several people in my life, in business, and just the different experiences and relationships that I've had. And all of them that are the most successful have a similar story where they were hungry. Right, literally and figuratively hungry. They had to sleep on a couch, you know, maybe in a car. Wasn't quite sure how they were going to make that rent or, you know, buy that next bag of groceries or whatever else it is. And, you know, a lot of people go through life, unfortunately, experiencing those things, but they'll tell you it's the best thing that ever happened to them. Yeah. You know, because it taught them what they didn't want, and they figured that out real early or real quick rather than kind of wandering through life for a while. I don't know, going to college, having zero clue what they want to do or what direction they have. And it shaped the pathway for them to get out of life what they need and what they want. Would you agree?
100%. Yeah. Like I wouldn't change a damn thing. Like looking back now, I know it kind of built and molded me into who I am today. Right. And so like even going to the college thing, like, so I was in school for computer engineering at San Jose State. I hated it. It was a heart attack every semester. I still have PTSD to this day. I'll wake up like, fuck, I need to go to class. Like I graduated 5 years ago. Okay. And this shit still happens to me. Okay. And
you still having the nightmares.
Yeah, I still have the nightmares. Like I think I'm in my mom's house, wake up, like, oh shit, I don't live at home anymore. Like, you know, so when I was in college, I realized that like, I knew I wouldn't do engineering like for the rest of my life. Like my dad was an engineer. He worked at Cisco and I did excel something I was good at and it was paid for. So I was like, dude, what is my real passion? And my passion is people, you know? Okay. Everything I've done has been around people, you know? So I took advantage of that in college. I was like, all right, cool. I'm here for free. Let me just do enough to pass, right? Scholarship. They say C's get degrees. With scholarship, like B's
C's get degrees.
You know, but like B's, make sure you don't pay anymore. Like, you know, so you have to keep working for it. And that's why I took advantage of it. I was like, dude, like, let me just meet as many people as I can, you know?
Was there an end game for you outside of getting the degree?
For college?
Yeah.
Oh, honestly, I didn't want to be a hypocrite for my sister. I told her.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
So I told her she had to go to college and graduate. And like, I could have dropped out, you know? And I was just like, if I drop out, that means my sister has a reason to say that she could drop out. And I was like, let me just finish so that she could be like, all right, I have to finish too. Because she graduates next semester. So.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So this is working out.
I was working out. I'm not a hypocrite.
All right. Okay. So we get through school. You've done this experiment on yourself. You've learned all kinds of skills, right? And I think a lot of people refer to those as like soft skills.
Right.
I actually would refer to them maybe more as hard skills, actually, because those are the hardest ones to learn.
Right.
And they are the ones that keep people from growth. They're the people that keep people from satisfaction. And it's likely due, and I don't know this for sure, but it's because they don't have an awareness of how to do the things, like have a basic conversation with someone that you might not agree with, or you can't get what you're not. There's a negotiation process,
right,
you know,
these
things, this is life is, there's constant negotiation processes that are happening. And part of that is negotiating with yourself sometimes on what you're going to do, what you're not going to do, why you're going to do it, or why you're not going to do it. So you got all these skills and a degree in computer engineering at the end of all this. Did you know when you got out what the next step was going to be for you?
I knew I was going to do my business full time. So,
and this is the computer business.
So I took a pivot, as the big Silicon Valley term is pivoting.
It's so important.
It's so important. So I was doing IT work, and I figured out I can never scale it to $1 million business, because I'm competing with, when like Walmart said you could walk in, drop your computer, and it's done by the time you leave. I was like, fuck that, I'm out of this, right? I still have IT clients to this day, but I have someone else service them, and I was like, cool, you know. But it's, for me, I did that, and I was like, you know what, let me get into website building. So I was doing website stuff, making pretty decent money, and then I linked up with a mentor, and he's like, bro, like, you can do so much more than just websites. And I was like, all right, well, what can we do? And then so his name's Jamal Newborn. He was like, hey, bro, so have you thought about getting into print, like doing a lot of print work, graphic design and print? And then he taught me how to build a model where leveraging other people and their skill sets, where I can just be the front face person, right? The biggest term that I would say is like becoming a broker, right?
Okay.
But you have the right team of people together, and you do enough volume where things become exclusive. So it's like, no one else can take my model or work with my people and do it as well as I can, because you're not going to beat out the volume I bring in, right? So understanding that was the next step in my career. And then kind of taking that money and pivoting into other things, right? Because it's a high margin business. And what people don't understand, it's, yeah, like when I was in college, like, dude, I was making money and I was like blowing it, right? Everyone who makes money for the first time, you fucking blow your cash. You're like, fuck it, I would do whatever. Shots to the entire bar, like whatever. That's an actual story we'll talk about never. And then so like you realize like how the margins of that business, and then I learned to kind of put that money into other things.
Like?
So we recently opened up a nail salon in Hanford, south of Fresno. So me and my partner in my business.
So that's way different than San Jose. That's Hanford's very rural.
Very, very rural.
And it's an agricultural supported town.
100%.
Right? I mean, you've got really there is part of America, and particularly California, where they're the haves and the have-nots.
Right.
There's very little in between there. Mm-hmm. There might be a little bit now. It's definitely grown up, but okay. So that's way different. I'm curious about this. And you go from
doing marketing.
Marketing. And then all of a sudden now you're getting in the nail business.
Well, I mean, like, so an opportunity came up. So my business partner in my business, he's pretty well tapped in with him and his wife. They do a lot of stuff to help people in the community. And so his wife is from Hanford, and they're having a discussion about, you know, like business and doing all this stuff. And this girl goes, hey, like I would love to open a nail salon in Hanford. And Faisal and I, we like evaluated like her social media presence. She had 15,000 followers. Every time she opens up, she's fully booked. And like you said, the haves and the have nots. So him and I pulled our money together, and we built out a place. It's 3,200 square feet. We built out a model where our
It's a
lease
big salon.
It's huge. So we took 1,200 square feet and we turned it into rented space for vendors.
Got it.
So one girl does waxing, like eyelashes and skincare.
Yeah,
like, you know,
it's a one-stop shop.
One-stop shop. But they own all their stuff, and they just rent. And then inside of the salon is where you have all of our nail techs that do their thing.
So you're keeping your overhead fairly low outside of our cost of materials and our cost of doing business.
Exactly.
Though the costs of doing business are low. Usually it's going to be the biggest thing's always rent.
100%.
Right?
But in Hanford, like 3,200 square feet, my rent is less than $3,000. My lease is less than $3,000 a month.
That's
like, you can't beat that.
Yeah, it's crazy thinking about what it is here. Yeah,
100%. Like the same place has cost you $3 a square foot
at least here.
So you're looking at like $9,600 a month. Like not everyone can afford to do that kind of volume.
It's a lot of nails.
It's a lot of nails. It's a lot of nails, and then you got to charge like a lot of nail prices.
Right.
So, so that was an opportunity that came up with us, and we just like I said, him and I agree we both like people. So we found a good person. We wanted to invest in them and support them. So there was that. And then recently we moved into cannabis delivery, and we just got our distribution license 2 months ago. And so with that, I'm the only person in the group that doesn't smoke. Like I look at it strictly from a numbers standpoint.
It's a business opportunity.
You know, I say, hey, let's do it. You know, everyone else smokes, and then they like do their thing, and I just sit there in the meetings like, hey guys.
So hold time out on the cannabis thing here, because it's become, you know, in California, it's become a bit easier to do business in that arena over the last, let's say 5-6 years.
Yeah.
I know in San Jose particularly, and I'm not that familiar, so I don't mean to talk out of turn here, but my understanding is obviously there's some ordinances, there's some taxes that you've got to pay, there's some, you know, things that you have to be aware of, and they've kind of crammed everybody into kind of one little area. Used to kind of see these co-ops sort of all over the place, and now they're within like a few blocks of one another. It's literally you walk out the door, look across the street, and there's 5 more
right over
there. However, there's a massive population here, and there's probably within that population, I have no idea what that is. Maybe you know. I mean, what percentage? I mean, San Jose is a huge city. What percentage of our city is in the cannabis or is using or purchasing? Or
it's super tough to tell.
Yeah, because it's like, kind of undercover, right?
It's undercover, low key. Like until you walk in, they take your ID. But I would probably say conservatively 25%.
Wow.
Of the San Jose Bay Area.
So
right.
Do you know, you might know the answer to this. Do you know what the population here is in San Jose?
I wrote it down this morning. I don't know right now.
We're going to have Mikey look it up, because we're talking about 25%. This is a lot of people.
Yeah, it is.
A lot of people.
Yeah, it is.
Are there restrictions while he's doing this? Are there restrictions on what you can and what you can't deliver?
So it's based on you can't deliver more than an ounce to somebody per day.
It's more about the amount, not the product. Because I mean, there's all kinds of stuff, right?
Anything that you can buy in a dispensary, whether it's shatter, all this other stuff, you can sell all of it, right? It's just time of day. You can't deliver anything after 10 p.m. And it's the amount of product, unless it's medicinal. Okay.
So it's really, there's actually very few restrictions. I mean, well, that could be restrictive,
right?
When somebody's sitting there.
The crazy part is like the crazy part is doing advertisement. That's where things get real crazy. So like you can't advertise within like 2 miles of a school. You can't show flower on social media because it's still federal. Right? Billboard ads are a little bit different. Like you see HempCon and stuff come up, so it's like leadway. Like people are trying to finesse it all day, but social media, it's like, good luck. You have to really finagle it.
Mikey, what's the population here, dude?
1.02 million.
Yeah,
as of 2019.
Yeah,
that's a million people, man.
So it's about 250,000.
That's a lot. That's a big market.
It's a lot. So
let's go back to the advertising thing. When you say like advertise within, again, like 200 feet of a school or whatever else, I mean, go back to the print ads and things like that. I mean, are people really using that stuff, or what are the restrictions? Are there restrictions digitally in that sense?
So digitally, it's totally like a black hat strategy.
Got it.
Right. Like if it works, great. You can't get shut down
because you'll get shadow banned or switched off.
Exactly.
Has that increased in this last year?
Like text message marketing has been insane. Like Verizon, like all these guys, they've shut down companies to the fact that, like, I know a group that does text message marketing and they have to change their phone number that they send out, like every other message that they send to somebody.
Now, is this 18? So let's just say it's AT&T, Verizon. You said, so is this Verizon doing that, or is this the state?
Cellular?
And is this because the state's putting pressure on them?
Well, it's because it comes across as like spammy. It comes across as all this other stuff, and then
so you're falling into that bucket of people are shutting down the text message market. It's not necessarily,
but it's also because cannabis isn't federally legal, right? And a lot of these companies have a nationwide presence.
Got it.
So then they have to do their compliance, right? So if you put anything that a mass text that says, "Hey, come buy some weed," you will get shut down very, very quickly.
Got it. All right. So 250,000 people, how many cannabis dispensaries are there here?
That's a good question. I'm not in the dispensary game, but I would say in San Jose, actually, can we just look that up?
Yeah.
I don't want to be wrong.
Yeah, that's a good one. So while he's doing that, so you're going through, so let's go back to the delivery business piece. Yeah. So is this like Uber for cannabis?
Yeah. So a lot of people have heard of Weed Maps or Leafly. What happens is that
I may or may not have heard of that.
May or may not. There might be a billboard or bus ad somewhere, but pretty much when you want to get something delivered to your house, you search for a product and then you search for companies that are delivering it. You pick one and then that person sends a driver to your location.
So why haven't these dispensaries figured that part out yet?
So it's a different license. So there's a different license for everything. So there's a delivery license, there's distribution license, there's like dispensary with like storefront, retail license. And then there's cultivation and then there's manufacturing. And a lot of people only got one license, right? And some people are vertically integrated. Like Purple Lotus, for example, they have their delivery license, their cultivation license, and their storefront license. But I don't think they have a distribution license. So they can't make their own products and then sell it to somebody.
Interesting.
On their own, without using a distributor.
They have to go through somebody, right?
Just like the whole liquor game.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Again, and so is that, I would imagine that's even, of all the places, California's probably regulating that a little tighter than a lot of others, or no? I mean, yes. Maybe not in this game, because
100% yes. So
because they want their money.
Well, so the tax are 30% on the products that you do through licensed cannabis, 30% tax, just like off the rip, right? So everything that you buy or that someone buys is 30% more, 30% plus your local tax. So 30% plus 9.25% higher than if you bought it black market. But you get the convenience of not having to do it in the bag. Like,
I got it. But it's still like, what a huge miss. Like, what a huge miss by the state from a tax perspective. If you don't charge that much and you make it a little bit easier for somebody to do business, how many more tax dollars could you collect?
100%. It's you can make so much more because more people are going to be like, all right, I can make more money. I can do better. I can do more.
You're just driving illegal drug sales.
Literally. And so I think San Francisco is fighting to waive that tax.
It's smart.
For their city.
It's smart.
Right? Because what happens is that tax is waived, it kills the black market. Pretty much. It's over. But the state wants to get their money. Right?
Did we figure that out?
Yeah. According to potguide.com,
sweet.
There's 16 dispensaries in San Jose.
Does that sound right? Yeah. 16 dispensaries?
Honestly, in my head, I had 12.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So
you were close, and they're mostly off they're like, you know how they're all grouped together. Yeah, they're all grouped together. They're mostly off like Monterey.
Yeah, it's because it's the way they got them zoned.
Yep. Every dispensary has to be in a green zone. Every transportation has to be in a green zone. And distribution has to be in a green zone. That's what they're called.
Look, I am definitely about kind of organizing it, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you have to know what's going on. And I would imagine as a business owner, not every dispensary, right? And I'm just thinking as a business owner, just like my business, gyms or personal training businesses or whatever else, not every business owner runs a really tight ship. Right. Not every business owner is really professional. Not every business owner cares about their customers or the people that are coming in, period, or hanging out and around. And so, but at the same time, like outside of having like an area of the city or a particular place be zoned as retail or commercial, like this building is, it could be the Wild West out there. So, maybe this is a good thing. I don't know, because where there's, let's be honest, typically where there's drugs, there's issues. But what is the reality of that given how they're regulating it now? I mean, because to me, I never hear about issues. Like, it seems like they are running a tight ship. And I have to be honest, so here's my experience. I've been into a couple of these dispensaries here in town. And when I walk in the door, I'm like, holy shit, this place is fantastic, right? The people, amazing, right? The customer service, top shelf. It's like walking into a 5-star hotel, right? The environment is amazing. And the product display, marketing, all that stuff is fantastic. And I've never felt uncomfortable walking in or being around them. However, they did cram them in a really shitty part of town. Mm-hmm. So all that considered, I guess what I'm saying is they're regulating it pretty tightly, but it seems like this could be such a benefit, particularly with what we know about cannabis just in general. So sorry, I didn't want to get too far off track there. Just trying to try to do some math here. 250,000 people, 16 dispensaries, dude, they're cleaning up.
Oh, dude, like they're
cleaning up.
You'd be very surprised. Like I'll do the math right now for you. I'm going to tell you one guy that I know for sure, just on his delivery alone, he makes about $500,000 a month, $450,000 a month, just on delivery alone, with an average ticket of $100. So you can do the math.
So let's talk about this. So again, now I'm wondering when I hear that, like, if I'm a dispensary, I'm getting that license to deliver. Like, I'm figuring that shit out, because if that's the cheese that I could be making, just getting this from my spot to the customer.
Yeah, but think about the other part of this, right? You have overhead for your space, right? Because when you're in cannabis, every commercial owner charges you way more than like the normal rate.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, $3 a square foot. Hey, you know what? Cannabis, $5.
Especially when they put it in this area. I know my real estate's worth some money, because if you don't take it, somebody
else will, and they'll take it at a premium.
Yeah.
Right. And with dispensaries, you have to hold a lot of inventory, right? Like, you have to hold an ungodly amount of inventory. Like, I know people that hold $1 million worth of inventory a month, and they have to sell through it. Right. And like, we look at these numbers, like, cool, I'm making $500,000 a month. But you have to look at the drivers, the overhead, the product, anything that may happen if someone steals something, liability, or product disappears, like insurance, like you're probably coming out of that with a pretty decent chunk of cash, like at least $100,000 a month, potentially net or more, depending on how tight you run your ship. But it's just like, dude, like you see these big numbers and people want to get into the game, right? But even getting a license is tough, right? And it's a long process. And I talked to some guys yesterday. They said, dude, the black market is going to die soon, right? At some point in time. So all the dudes who have made all their money in the black market, they're trying to go legal because they have all this cash. And cannabis is still a cash business.
Sure.
Like, all my vendors ask to get paid in cash, right? Mm-hmm. And you're just
I haven't been to a dispensary where you can use a credit card.
And everything is cash.
You're not doing Apple Pay.
Exactly. Right. You're just like, all right, everything is still cash. So it's like, it's still that type of business. So let's go to your business, the delivery business. Yeah.
Right. So how long have you been doing this?
3 months.
Okay. How many drivers do you have?
As of right now, I have one workhorse. Well, technically we have 3 drivers. So we have 3 drivers, but I have one guy who's a fucking workhorse.
He's just working all day long. He's just grinding. He likes his money.
He likes his money.
Yeah.
And he's good.
Yeah, good. So, all right. So what kind of volume are we talking? Like, how many deliveries?
Yeah, like a day
or a week or month or whatever.
So it's averaged by the day. So we started 3 months ago. As of right now, we're at about, I'd say 10 deliveries a day. right? So we're at about 10 deliveries a day. And I would like to say that's pretty good. Eventually, like guys like Purple Lotus, like 100 to 150 deliveries a day, like on average, right? I would like to be at that cool, like I would like to be at 100 deliveries a day. Why am I going to sell myself short? 100 deliveries a day, that would be great. Because I would be making, that much money a month. But it's just kind of like, it just takes time to get there.
Sure,
right?
It's got to ramp it up.
You have to ramp it up, but you're competing with the 100 delivery a day guys who have an ungodly amount of money they've been making for an ungodly amount of time, and they can, as soon as you come on the radar, they can be like, hey, bro, fuck you. Like, I'm going to run the crazy special, and now you can't compete.
And so and I imagine, like, if I like my delivery driver, I'm trying to get my same driver, right? Like, if you call this other business, right, and you have it delivered, do you get a choice?
No. So it's for the safety of the driver.
Okay. So what about for yours?
It's for the safety of the driver.
So same.
Everything is like
it's random. So
my biggest priority, it's like my driver's safe, because like you think about it, I don't know how, some people, I don't run my delivery this way, but other people do. Like they put a shit ton of product in that car and then they move it around like a fucking ice cream truck. Okay. And then they drive around like, hey, I got everything for it. It's a lot of risk. Like you carry $5,000 worth of product in your car. Like people know where your driver's going. Like, come on, dude, like you're gonna lose your money.
It's opportunity.
And potentially your driver. Right. Yep. So, like there's always compliance behind everything works. Like all your product has to go back to your secure location, wherever that is.
Right.
And like you always have to leave from there unless you have a delivery already in that area.
So I mean, you're trying to scale this thing up, 100 deliveries a day, on average or whatever. What are they working on? They're working on some kind of an app or something?
So typically there's already pre-existing apps. Like everyone who uses delivery uses the same apps pretty much. Right. So the infrastructure is already there. It's just a matter of good marketing, good products, and what sets you apart from everyone else.
Gotcha.
So
that's the new project.
That's the new project.
The new.
That's the new. Someone called me and said, Mike, you want to do it? I said, fuck it.
I love that. Like, hey, let's try. Why not? Right?
Yeah. I'm like, I'm young.
So let's go back. So you had you just walked us through a lot of interesting stuff, kind of just mindset, connecting with people. We talked about soft skills versus hard skills. Taking advantage of opportunity when it presents itself, everything from the nail business to the cannabis business. And you'd mentioned earlier, like you met because of the work that you've done to create a network. You've had lots of opportunities to do things like travel and meet other new people, and that's how this stuff works, right? It's those connection points. They just continue to happen. Tell me some of the crazy shit you've done.
Okay, so this one. So are you okay? You know Fry's Electronics?
Of course.
So I'm on the board for the San Jose Ballet. Oh, sorry, not the San Jose Ballet. New ballet school in San Jose. So it's ran by Dahlia Rawson. We do the Nutcracker every year. There's 2 Nutcrackers. Ours is really good. I'm gonna get in trouble for saying that, but it is what it is. Ours is way better. So I'm on the board, and John Fry is a donor to the ballet.
Gotcha.
And so I'm in downtown, and I had met him one time, like before all this happened. And he's wearing stripper socks, like stripper silhouette socks. Like, and like I go up to him and I go, I didn't know who he was. I go, dude, like, what's up with these socks? He goes, I like to indulge sometimes. I was like, all right, bro. and then someone had whispered in my ears, like, hey, do you know who that is? I was like, no. He goes, dude, that's like John Fry. I was like, who? He goes, Fry's Electronics. I was like, oh. And then so we're talking, and he's like flexing on me like super hard. He goes, yeah, I just sold my 747 Boeing to like Manchester United or some crazy shit. Right. And I was like, all right, bro, cool. And then I go, so how do you feel about Amazon? And then he looks at me.
Is this before or after he went out of business?
No, this is like before. He goes, okay. he goes, wow, you're funny. And he goes, honestly, I have to always say 3 cents behind Amazon. This is what he said to me, 3 cents behind Amazon. This was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Wow.
And so he understood where he was at competing with Bezos, right? Mind you, both these guys are billionaires. Right. And so I'm back up. I'm at the Capitol Club one day, and he goes, so I'm there having a meeting with the executive director, Dahlia, and she goes, oh, I have another meeting. Can we wrap it up? I said, cool. And so I'm sitting at the bar with my mentor, and we're just chatting, and then I hear some guy goes, hey, Mike. I look over, and it's John Fry.
Okay.
And he goes, hey, come here, let me talk to you. I was like, all right, what's up, man? He goes, and then Dahlia goes, oh, you guys have met? I was like, yeah, Mr. Stripper Socks, I know who the fuck you are. That's what I said. And he goes, do you play any golf? And I go, I mean, mind you, at the time, I am the shittiest golfer in the world.
Have you ever played?
I did. I have clubs. I literally, I have clubs in my car right now.
Having clubs doesn't mean.
Okay, but like, I'm not good. Like,
I'm awful.
I know how to swing. I know how to putt, right? My putting is all right.
I can play golf. Like, I'm not good at golf.
I'm not good. I'm not good. I know enough to get. I always tell people, I'm the best person to go out with you because I'll make sure you have a good time. Yeah. Will the ball go into the water every time? Probably, but we're gonna have fun. And then so he goes, so John goes, hey, do you want to come out and play with me on my course? And I was like, I'm thinking like Cordoval or some super nice course, right? And I said, yeah, sure, let's do it. Gives me his cell phone number, says, hey, just give me a call. And I said, okay. So I call and say, hey, John, it's Mike Lee, blah, blah, blah. He goes, hey, here's the address to my course. It's called The Institute. And I was like, okay. So my best friend is like pro golfer. I call him. I go, hey, bro, have you heard of this course called The Institute? He's literally in. He literally goes, hold on. Walks out of the meeting he's in and says, how the fuck are you playing at the Institute? You are the shittiest golfer. He's just blowing up my face.
I don't know anything about the Institute.
So if you're like really into golf, it is the most exclusive course you can go to, like almost in the world, because it's owned by John Fry. He pays fees on it every year, and there's only like 10 rounds played a year on it. And he pays, it's his personal course.
Where is this thing?
It's so crazy. So Los Banos is covered by trees. The entire place is covered by trees.
It's in the middle of the Central Valley.
You don't even know it's there. It's just past Gilroy.
Yeah.
And you're just like, you don't even know this place is fucking there, right? And if you know, you know. Like, I've had people go, Mike, if you get me on that course again, I'll give you like 10 grand. I'm like, dude, like, I don't know.
All right.
And then so he goes, dude, we got to play. So I'm literally warming up for like 3 days straight, just to like be half decent on this course.
Not to embarrass yourself.
And so I pull up over there, and I pull up to like a broken down barn, right? I literally pull up, and I don't have a signal on my phone. I was like, I'm fucked, dude. Like, I don't know what these billionaires do. Like, it's over. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. It's over. So I pull this little green light, and this guy walks out in the radio, like out of the bushes, goes, oh, are you Mike? I was like, yeah. And he radios, hey, Mike Lee's here. I was like, all right, I guess I'm in the right place. So I pull up. Some guy comes and takes my clubs out my trunk, puts in a golf cart, and just disappears, right? And he goes, all right, yeah, come walk up with us, cool. And then so I get up there, it's me, John Fry, and then his head pro, the guy that runs the golf place, and then another dude whose name's Jeff. And so there's a golf range on the property, and I just go, I've never done this before in my life, like, and I go, okay. And I have a caddy. I've never had a caddy in my life. And then I was like, all right, cool, whatever. And so we're going through, we're golfing, and I'm playing like shit. So these guys start making side bets of whether or not I'd putt and 2 putts or not. And they're just talking mad shit, right? I was like, cool, whatever. Okay. And so we get to the 9th hole, and he has a Michelin star chef make us food on the 9th hole. And then she goes out and says, normally we do like filet mignon and lobster for the 9th hole, but John was in the mood for tacos. And then this guy goes, dude, these tacos are almost good as Taco Mania on Coleman. I lost my shit.
He knows where that is.
He knows where that is. I lost my shit.
Downtown,
right?
Yeah.
So going through that whole experience, it was just like, I've never experienced something like that in my life with someone who's worth so much. And then, but the thing is, like, I just kind of talked to him. I was like, hey, like, but every person I've met that makes that kind of money is a little quirky. Like, he's a quirky guy.
It's interesting you said. I was just going to say kind of how wild that story is from start to finish. And again, in the Silicon Valley, there's a lot of wealth. There's a lot of wealth, and there's a lot of quirkiness here. That is for sure. But this all starts with you being, I don't want to let this one slip by, you being on the board for the Nutcracker. Like, again, now we're going a completely different direction, and how you got into this. It's where does this come from, man? So
someone asked me, so Dolly was like, Mike, I think you'd be a great fit for, we're trying to get more young people involved in like ballet and, shows, things like that. I think you'd be a great fit. And I was like, I called my mentor. I said, dude, should I do it? And he gave me some advice, and he said, "Fuck it, bro, go for it. Like, why not?" You know,
it's interesting. I mean, it just seems so out there, but what an amazing thing to be a part of. I mean, so there's arts, there's tech, there's lifestyle, you know, kind of going on all the time. And now the latest thing that I see you doing is speaking of the lifestyle, you've got a clothing brand that you got going.
Yeah,
talk about that.
So people are going to be like, dude, this guy does a lot of fucking shit, right?
Well, that was my impression.
Yeah. So, but here's my thing. So everything is calculated risk, right? And everything is, I don't do everything. I don't do everything myself, and I don't do it alone, right? So people come in with ideas, and I provide resources that I have to help move the thing forward. I don't, like the nail salon, I don't run the day-to-day of the nail salon. Like, I help put up money, I help with marketing stuff, and I help put things together. Day-to-day, I don't run it, right? The cannabis company, every partner's working hard to build it up to a point where I'm not always involved, right? The only thing I'm directly involved in is like my sign business, because I've been doing that for however long. And then now with this clothing brand. And so the reason why I started, so me and my buddy were talking, hanging out one day, and he was dating this girl who was like super toxic, like the most toxic girl, like he said he's ever been with. And he goes, dude, like, I'm just not toxic. Like, I just don't give a fuck enough to care. Like, I'm just a not toxic person. And then he looks at me and goes, dude, we should put on a fucking shirt that we're not toxic. And I said, I mean, all right, let's do it. And then
the brand is born.
The brand is born. And then the cool thing about this, and the reason why I want to get into clothing, was because I know a lot of people, and people can't necessarily support like my like business, right? Like, you want to provide something where people can like be involved in, and people can show their support.
So hold on a second. So you have all these people, but they can't necessarily support the particular businesses you're in, whether it be cannabis or whatever, tech,
or whatever.
It's just not. I love you, Mike, and if you were into this business over here, I'd eat at your restaurant every day,
right?
You know, or whatever. But that's not the case. Okay, so I see where you're going with this. So
because it's like what's something that people do every day? Like, they wear clothes, like they do certain things. And I was just kind of like, dude, like when he came to me with the idea, and I said, let's just go. I said, I have a pretty decent following. I know some people, like, let's just try it out, see where it goes. I'm always about, let's just try it out, you know, put some money behind it, see where it goes. And this shit like blew up overnight. Like, I was just like, all right, cool, let's go. Like, I just did a new order shirts before I got here, you know, and hoodies and everything. And I was just like, all right, cool, it worked out. Then what's the next thing? Like, where do we take it? Like, so for me, I look at every business personally. I say it's worth my time if in the first year I can make, you know, arbitrarily say $100,000 in the first year. If I don't make $100,000, cool, great, it was fun, right? If I make it, then I say, okay, what more can we do, right? And I'm not saying like net, I'm just saying like hitting that target, like hitting a six-figure target, right? And I just, you know, shoot. But I also know that if a new opportunity comes up that suits my skill set, like, this will take a back seat, right? And like, I have other people involved where they can just pick up where I left off, you know? Mm-hmm. And I always teach somebody like, hey, here's how we're doing it. Here's our vendors. Here's who we're doing this for. Here's our inventory list, like all this stuff. So if anything happens to me, like, shit gets taken care of, you know? But this was just really just to other people can just be involved. Like, you know, that's the reason why you have Red Dot Fitness. Right. Like, hey, I want to rock Red Dot Fitness stuff everywhere I go. You know what I'm saying? So that it makes sense.
So that's a lot of shots that you have taken, you've been successful with. Tell me about a shot you took that you didn't take that you regret not taking.
Oh, geez. They'll probably watch this podcast. So, I had an opportunity, like, I'm still involved with them, but I had an opportunity to be more financially involved in Nirvana Soul Coffee in downtown San Jose.
Okay, coffee shop, well-known coffee shop here.
So I did all their signage. I did a lot of other stuff with them when it comes to their like products, and we had an opportunity to invest, and we just didn't take the opportunity. Like, me and my partner evaluated, we just didn't take the opportunity. To me, I was like, dude, like, I wish I could be more involved, right? There's an opportunity to be more involved, and I didn't take it. I was kind of like, damn, I wish I would have done it. You know, but that was like one of them. But other things, it's like, you know, I don't know. There's been a lot of failures that I've forgotten about just to get here to this day. Like, I've made and lost a lot of money. Like crypto plays, like everyone knows about the crypto plays. Mm-hmm. You're up, a lot of money one day. The next day you're down a lot of money.
Hero to zero.
You know what I'm saying?
That one's a long play for sure.
It's a long
play. Still yet to be seen how that all turns out.
Yes. Right? Watching the market every day.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, like, dude, like I've lost a lot. Like I've taken a lot of L's on projects just with people. Like my first company was it was an L. Like we tried doing it, me and a buddy, it didn't work out,
Yeah, so I was gonna ask about that because you have to fail to succeed. Yeah. It's just part of the deal, right? I mean, that's a little cliched now. People talk about that all the time. Like your next failure means your next success or right. whatever. You have to stack enough of those before you get to the next success. But what I hear you doing is you're taking risks on people, right? And risks or opportunities, however you look at it. And they're small businesses. These are not necessarily massive businesses or massive projects, and you're able to stack those wins, and you're putting it into those people. Of the failures of the people that you may have invested in these different projects, is there a common thread to why it didn't work?
Yes, and people. So people who aren't willing to let go.
Talk to me about that.
So every business owner is this way. You can probably speak for it as well. This is my baby. I don't want to change a damn thing. Mm-hmm. And I don't want some fucking kid coming in here telling me like, hey, switching's up. Right. And then you realize that it takes change for you to grow. Right. We like to use the term young blood. Sometimes you need some young blood to get in there and really help you out. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the young blood guys are dumb and they don't know what the hell they're talking about, right? It's both sides. And so the commonality is that people just hold on to their stuff for dear life, and they're like a captain sinking with their ship, and they just don't want to lose what they have, right? And so that's been the biggest commonality. Like even when I first got into coffee, I started a company called Mike's Brews. It wasn't a failure, but we initially bought the business from somebody else, became partners. And we're like, dude, let's turn it around. Let's do coffee, do all this stuff. We were doing really well. We had good contracts, everything set up, but the owner wasn't willing to downsize, right? Like if you look at the numbers, like 1 year ago, arbitrarily, you're making 10 grand a month, right? And now rent has gone up and now you're only making 5 grand a month, right? But your rent is 6 grand a month. Any person would say, hey, we need a downsize.
It doesn't pencil out.
It doesn't pencil out, right? And then you still need to get paid. Like it's just a bunch of stuff, that just like didn't work out. So we tried to get into the talent space or like the recruiting space. We knew a lot of people that we could staff events for, or trade shows. And we're like, okay, we tried it. And then we looked at it. We go, dude, like you get in this business, you're making $3 an hour. Right? Because you're charging the client 25 and you're paying 22 or 20.
Right.
Right. You're like, okay, so to me, the money was too slow. My partner goes, dude, like the money's too slow. Like I don't like it. It just doesn't make sense for us. Excuse me. And so like things like that, those commonalities, it's like people aren't willing to look at the numbers and make decisions.
Yep.
There's a lot of emotion, right? Like when it comes to business now, growing up, when I first, I say that like I'm old, right? Or older, right? Like it's like growing in business, I learned that emotions, it's a double-edged sword, right? It could help you win the battle and it could also kill you at the same time if you're too emotional situation. Because when you make emotional decisions and not business decisions is when you lose. I've done it time and time and time and time again. Like I got involved with the manufacturing company. Like we were too emotional with them. Ended up losing 100 grand, right? Just overnight gone. And it's just kind of like, okay, where can we learn? Where can we understand how things go? So, but every single time that we've like lost or we've like a business didn't work out, it was people weren't willing to let go and try new things for change. And me and my partner were too invested in somebody. Like we trusted somebody too much. Right, because this came up in a meeting a couple days ago. It's nice guys get eaten alive in big business.
Yep, every time, man.
Every time,
you never win.
You never win. Like, and you have to. You have to be willing to fight for something, right? When you're nice, you get eaten alive, and every person will take advantage of you.
Yeah, if you don't know how to set the boundary or the priority, there's going to be plenty of people that are willing to set it for you.
100%.
And they're gonna.
And it's in their favor.
Yeah, 1,000%.
So
they're already working that angle before you even know it if you're that guy.
100%. So like I've been a nice guy my whole life, right? And I didn't realize until the past year, the past COVID, right? COVID really helped me realize that there were so many people that were taking advantage of me being nice and me being able to like put them in the right space where, it really became a detriment. Good for them, but detrimental to me, So those are some of the commonalities and things that I realized, over time.
It's interesting. You mentioned, you kind of put the timestamp of COVID on there. I mean, let's be honest, there's so many things that have happened in the last couple of years, I think, that expose exactly what you're saying. There's people holding on to things, whether that be again, this is a tough one, but it could be their belief system, their social groups, their political affiliations, their jobs, and things like whatever. I mean, there's a million things there, and don't have the ability to let go. They can't do it. Because in doing that would mean they'd have to go through some other type of emotion, right? And they're kind of afraid of it. I wonder if you're seeing that in businesses, because you're involved in so many, and the businesses that are happening around you, the businesses of the friends that you have, all in the networks that you have, if they're struggling, the ones that are struggling, and if that's the reason they're struggling, is this emotional kind of overload or lack of bandwidth, to be able to kind of put that in check. And if that's the thing that's driving business in a poor direction.
Yeah. I mean, so I've learned a lot Cat Rosalino, the guy that owns it, is like a dad to me. Right. So like, I learned a lot from him, and like to me, I go, like, as a consumer, you go, why are you raising my prices for my burrito? I used to pay $5 a burrito. Now it's $8.99.
Sure, I think that's a natural, like, initial emotional reaction.
But as a consumer, like, and like as a kid, I didn't understand like what it meant. And then as he started like giving me advice and coaching me and telling me like, hey, like, you have to look at the whole thing. Like, I still have to pay my employees. I still have to get paid. I have to do all this other stuff. It helped me understand, like, like, you have to make these business decisions. Cause like, if you're a nice guy, I'll leave my prices here, but you're going to run yourself out of business. That's what I'm saying.
Put yourself out of business.
And Cat Rosalino been in business, like 30 years, 25 years, something like that.
Dude knows what he's doing.
Dude knows what he's doing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. So again, these are simple concepts that seem to get so lost kind of in translation. We see people out there, and you're wise beyond your years, man. I mean, it takes people a long time sometimes to figure that out. I've been in this business for a long time.
Can I pour you some?
Fantastic. Yeah, I'd love you to. Thanks. I've seen people that have 100% run themselves into the ground because they couldn't let go of whatever it was, whether that was the position that they had that they weren't qualified for anymore, it was too big for them, or an employee that they couldn't let go because they had this relationship with, or whatever else. And I kind of see that happening now. We know a lot of the same people, and it makes me sad. And at the same time, I recognize how tough it is to make those hard decisions. Mm-hmm. It is tough, but you got to put on the business hat, you got to put on the business face, you got to move forward.
Yeah.
So you got this new cannabis thing going. What's the next project after this, man? I mean, do you already see it happening?
Real estate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I understand that, like, not all money needs to be fast. Some money you need to lock up, and take care of it for your family. So like, my next thing I want to do is either buy my mom, my sister a place, so they're not worried about stuff. And that's really what my next play is. If I can get something local, but that's like, the market's super hot.
That's tough, man.
The market is ridiculously hot. But we're looking at stuff in Hanford. Mm-hmm. We're looking at, things out of state like Atlanta. Like, we're just looking at opportunity, right? Where I have family, because at the end of the day, like I said, it takes a team, and it's not just me that can take care of this project, right? It's people that I know and trust. But yeah, real estate is the next thing, whether it's residential or commercial, but real estate is the next thing we're getting into.
This all comes back to the network piece and knowing people and having experiences and knowing the right questions to ask or the right people to go to get your answers or so forth. And And you're not an old guy. I mean, we've already kind of been through that, you know, again, wise beyond your years, but not old in age. And things have been weird socially this last couple of years. Just, you know, again, people from a physical perspective, people aren't going out as much. Businesses have been closed. There's been a discouragement of social gathering type, you know, events and those kind of things. So what advice would you give to somebody who is listening to your story and go, that sounds like me. That's what I want to do. And I haven't been doing it, and I'm down this path right now. How do I start to build my network in today's climate, right? In today's tech, and I guess with the advantages and the opportunities they have to build a network. I mean, because it's free, doesn't cost money to do it. So how do you start, man?
So I'm going to give two sets of advice. I'm going to say pre-COVID and this new age of post-COVID. Well, not even post-COVID, but like during the pandemic.
Yeah, right? It's never going to be that.
It's never going to be post-COVID. I feel like I'm forever going to wear a mask.
It's the Groundhog Day.
Literally. So pre-COVID, the things that made the most sense, right? Being out at networking events, getting to know people, and the biggest thing about networking at networking events is knowing when to walk the fuck away from somebody, right? And don't waste your time.
Don't let them monopolize your time.
Yeah, exactly. So understanding that, right? Don't be afraid to go out, right? Like, it's so funny. I had a friend who called me and he goes, Mike, like, I will show you ways to make, you know, I'll show you how to understand the crypto market if you can help me get outside and like get to meet new people. Meet some people. I said, dude, just if I call you, say, get up, let's go, get up and go.
It's a value exchange of skill sets.
It's a value exchange of skill sets. Like, I wanted to learn something and he wanted to learn something. So I picked up from his house every day for like 2 months. Well, not every weekend, for like 2 months. I said, bro, all right, until you can drive yourself, you're comfortable, we're going. I was like, bro, we're going. I said, I would have done it for free, but you know, since you're offering, right? But understand that things like that do come up, but find a way to get out. That's why I said that. It's like, find a way. If it takes you to ask a friend who you know is always out, just ask. If someone is always out, like just like me, it's like, if you ask me, hey bro, what are you doing? Can I come out with you? Absolutely. Just pull up. We're here. And I'll make sure you have a good time. Pre-COVID events, networking events, super important. It doesn't have to be an event in your industry. It can be an event in any industry.
Smart advice.
Like, cause you don't want to limit yourself. Try and get in places where you probably shouldn't be in. Like,
I love that. Like what?
Like, so for example, I had a mentor who, like, I call her my corporate mom. I was at events once a year where it was like 500 of the biggest CEOs of Silicon Valley. They used to all come to this dinner and they used to basically fundraise and talk about things going on in the tech field. There was no fucking way
you worked in this room. You worked your way in the room.
I found my way in the room, right? And she goes, Mike, like, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to get in. And I said, fuck it. Like, I had finals the next day. I said, fuck my finals. I'm gonna put myself in this situation.
I love it.
And like, I should not have been there. But I learned a lot, right, from people. And invaluable. And so I look at that and say, dude, like, get in rooms where you probably shouldn't be in. Like, dude, if you sneak into somewhere, like, this is probably the worst advice I'm going to give ever, but if you sneak into somewhere you shouldn't be in, you don't get caught, and you learn a lot, it's worth it. You know what I'm saying? Dude, like, crash a wedding. I'm just kidding.
Ever done that?
I've always wanted to.
I haven't done it.
That's on my to-do list.
I hate weddings.
Dude, I just want to crash away. But the thing about me, it's like, I have to crash the right wedding, right? Like, I can't crash like a fucking all white wedding. Girls will like stand out. Like, they'll be like, hey, this guy, who are you? Who the fuck is this guy here?
I love that.
I sound like a sore thumb.
You got to do your recon.
Dude, I have to do my recon for walking up in there. So, but yeah, I mean, like, I just have to, you know, like, I always say, get into these rooms. If there's an opportunity to come up, say yes. Like,
yeah, I think the room is kind of metaphorical, right? It's just putting yourself in situations that you wouldn't typically put yourself in, or people don't.
100%.
You got to think outside the box.
Think outside the box. 100%.
The room is way bigger than just an event, right? Mm-hmm. It's life, right? Put yourself in situations. Take the job that you didn't expect, or maybe you don't know anything about, right? Learn the new skill, right? Yep. Be around people that are learning a new skill and something that you have zero knowledge of, right? And just experiment. What's the worst that's going to happen? You hate it and you move on.
And the worst, the worst thing someone can tell you is no.
Right. And you wind up meeting a bunch of new people. You had an experience.
100%.
You can look back on it.
Yeah. And like, that's the other thing. Like, don't be afraid of no. That's like the worst thing someone can say to you. And that goes for anything. It goes for networking. That goes for dating. That goes for whatever. Like, the worst thing someone's going to tell you is like, no, or sorry, I'm not interested.
Yeah. It's interesting. That's kind of like the thing that people fear. I think we were talking about people in the failure, like that word no or being rejected is the same thing they're struggling with internally when they're not making the right decisions for their business at the right time. They just don't know how to deal with that.
Like, once you learn to deal with rejection and understand that it's just one door closed, another door opens, you become a monster. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're just ready for anything. Like, I have a lot of people tell me no. I say, okay, cool. I'll just find someone who's going to tell me yes. You know, another big thing for networking for like younger guys. So, and this works on both sides. So, there's a strategy that I came up with, but I realized is the fact that, especially if you're younger, college, or even a couple of years out of college, LinkedIn is one of the most powerful tools out there.
I think it's so underutilized. I've been on it and off it, on it and off it. And every time I put a little bit of energy into it, I get a return on investment. And when I say that, it's the network grows, which is what it's there to do. But I also get reconnected with people that I hadn't been connected with in a long, long time, which has brought so much value to me. And it's brought me business, like literally dollars and cents business. Sorry, I'm going to jump in there. I just couldn't agree with you more.
100%. And so like when the younger guys, like, don't be afraid to ask or reach out to somebody who's in the space you want to get into. Like, if you're in college and you see someone like went to San Jose State or like went to Stanford or went to wherever, and you went there, you can just reach out and say, hey, I saw this is interesting. Like, I do an informational interview. I just want to learn more. No one is going to tell you no. If they tell you no, that person is an asshole. Right, yeah. Like, actually.
I've never said no to one of those.
You know what I'm saying? Like, someone goes, hey, you know what? Like, I just want to sit down and talk to you for like 15 minutes. I'll buy you coffee.
People come by here all the time to do that.
You know, that's what I'm saying. And then what do you say? Yeah, sure. Of
course.
And if you can't do it, say, you know, why don't you come back later?
I've never had anybody ask me to do that and then me sit down and give them time. And then at the end of that, them not go, thank you so much for doing that, which is all you really want to hear at the end. But then later on down the road, it comes back.
Yeah.
It almost always comes back in the positive. So
every time.
Yeah. Yeah. So going back to LinkedIn, I think it's like one of the few people are spending so much time on fucking TikTok and Instagram or whatever. And that is a really real time. So like when you look at the time you've invested in it, what you really get back from that is nothing, particularly now if you're just getting started or if you're trying to build some type of professional following on Instagram. It's almost dead. It's almost dead to a certain extent in terms of what you have to put into it to get something out. I mean, that could be, people could argue that with me.
Yeah.
But I from an organic sort of growth perspective, LinkedIn still trumps
100%. From a growth perspective, it is like organic growth. It is the number one platform that I've seen.
I guess that's where I was going with that.
100%. No, you were right on the nose.
Yeah. And it's keep it that way. Keep it professional is the other thing. It was what I see on like, don't take your Instagram shit and just recycle it on LinkedIn. Get somebody, I've heard you say several times, mentors, which is or a coach. Get a coach.
Yeah.
Get somebody. I mean, there's people out there. You can get that shit for free too, by the way. Yeah. Like it doesn't cost you anything to write a solid, bio on Insta or on LinkedIn, and the way things change, that thing changes too. So you need to be on top of it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of resources for you to get mentors. Like there's a platform called Mentor Makers that like I've been a mentor on, and it's free. You can be of any age. I've talked to people that are older than me and talk to people that are younger than me, and they're asking me for advice in my field. And I just tell them what it is. I say, hey, every call I say, I'll be honest with you. I have a sailor's mouth sometimes, and if that's not okay, please let me know, and I will try to tone it down. Yeah. And I say, but I'm going to be real with you. If what you're telling me is not a good idea, I will 100% let you know that I don't think it's a good idea and why I don't think it's a good idea. And everyone respects that. They say, okay, cool. You're telling me from the rip. Okay, cool. Let's just go in, see what we can do, and do it that way.
Yeah, so it's reaching out and trying to grow
100%.
Grow that way. Yeah, LinkedIn is
the tool to do that. Instagram is great. Sorry to interrupt. But Instagram is great socially, right? Like people want to see what it is that like you're about.
Oh, 100%.
100%. And then you get validated based on the like things that like you have or have not, right? Great example.
Yeah, the comparisons.
100%. So great example. So I've been wanting my car that I bought since 2013. And I've talked about it all the time, every day. Like,
it's a fantastic car, man.
This is the shit that I want. Like I've wanted it for so long. And then it came out this year and I decided to say, I'm just going to buy it. And then I did it. And everyone was like, holy shit, I can't believe this guy actually did it. He talked about it for 5 years, 6 years, and he finally did it. Like everyone was going crazy. And it validated what I was doing to people, right? I could have bought the car 2 years ago, right? But I was working and putting my money towards other things and trying to understand and learn and take risks. And like, if I lose it, great. If I don't lose it, great. I made a little bit more money. But like, like people don't see that. People just see the end goal, right? People look at the watches I wear. They go, okay, cool. Like this guy's made it in life, like whatever. To me, I don't feel like I've made it in life. Like, am I doing well? Yes. But I don't feel like I hit that point where I'm like, damn, I finally made it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good piece of advice there is in terms of setting the goals and not setting them too low.
100%.
And or with this expectation that when I arrive at this particular point, I know I will have arrived. I think it's dangerous because I think what it ends up doing is limiting people. You have to have goals.
100%.
But this is the goal for now, knowing that when I get there, I need to reevaluate, or it's likely I should be reevaluating that before I get there because I'm going to learn so many things and the failures and the successes and all that other stuff to where I'm setting that new goal. But there isn't an end game here.
Right.
As soon as you start thinking like that, then you start thinking things like backup plans and all that other stuff, and it's going to limit you.
Like complacency kills. Like the only time I have anxiety is when I feel like I'm not moving forward and I'm being complacent. Like just the other day, I was talking to my business partner. I said, dude, my anxiety is through the roof. He's like, why? It's like, dude, I feel like we're not moving.
I wonder how many people feel that and don't realize why they're feeling that, at this point. And maybe at the point that they're at your age in life. I don't know. I mean, I know right away. I can't sit still. My brain doesn't shut off. It never does. Even when
it never does.
I mean, there's good, there's bads, there's in between, there's all that other stuff. My brain's going all the time. I almost always feel that anxiousness, to be doing something. I can't sit still.
I can't sit still either, man.
I'm constantly doing, but I'll be damned. I do struggle dealing with, whether it's employees or clients or business in business, whatever relationships, that people are okay feeling that way. Yeah. And so I guess there's part of it that you have to know that not everybody's going to feel that way too. But this feel the same way or work as hard as you are. But that frustrates me. And I feel like a whole new level of anxiety when I see somebody, 100%. Especially when I recognize they have so much more potential and they're not utilizing it the way they could use it. So, man, some really great advice there for the young entrepreneur. And, having you kind of walk through sort of your experiences, how you got here, the rough start, right? And the decisions you had to make, and the things that you've done that might sound a little unconventional, and sort of the mindset, the attitude you had towards certain periods that people put so much weight in, whether it be academics or whatever. Those are important things, but they aren't the end.
End all, yeah.
And I knew I was going to get some of that stuff from you today. I mean, I knew I was going to have a good conversation because of what I already knew about you, but I think there's some stuff to glean there for business owners, business leaders, and soon to be or want to be, business leaders, and even those that aren't really sure yet, like the students out there, particularly, that are in this really fucking weird time. I feel so bad for kids that started college in this last couple of years, or were even midway through, and we're just trying to get the college experience and we're almost graduated and moving on, ready to move on. And now they're in this, like, the whole thing has changed. Everything they'd been told up until that point. But I think what you has just been kind of flipped on its head, and they're maybe wondering what to do. You provide some pretty solid insight. It's a lot of things that you can do. And one of the things that I took away there was not being afraid to take risks.
Yeah. Like like I don't really tell a lot of people about all the businesses that I'm involved in, right? Because everyone lives by this mindset of focus on one fucking thing and do it extremely fucking well.
Yeah, right.
And then just do that the rest of your life. Right. I am focused on the one thing I do very well. It's people. That is my thing. I do it very well. I focus on that every single day of my life. Like my phone does not stop ringing. Like, you know, and it gets me, you can tell I get so excited. Like I just love people, right? It has nothing to do with people say, like I said, like, oh, Mike, you're doing this. You're doing too much of this. You're doing too much of that. I'm like, dude, but like, I feel this is my calling. You know, I don't feel like I know this is my calling. It's to work with people and provide them with the resources and network that I have to help move them forward. Because not everyone can be out and about and do these social experiments and be in these rooms and do all this stuff. Like, I feel like I have the opportunity to support people and helping them change the course of their environment or change the course of their business, change the course wherever. And that's why I get involved in so many different things, because I get to see and understand, like, okay, cool, I look at this differently, but I don't know this answer. Well, let's ask someone else who does know the answer. Right. Or I don't know this person, but I know someone who knows that person. Right. Great example. Last night I'm in the gym. I'm working out. Sam Licardo, San Jose Mayor, is on the bench, right? He's about to drop his weight. I walk over and I go, yo, Sam, it's all good, bro. He looks at me, he goes, oh, thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. The girl next to me goes, how the fuck do you know the mayor?
I thought you were the mayor.
It was so funny. But I look at that, I was like, dude, like, all different environments, you know?
Right.
Like, and I treat the mayor the same as I treat my friends. I treat you the same way I treat my like sister, you know? Like, I just, you know, and like, I look at everyone in the same ecosystem, you know? Like when I say like my sister, I say, I'm treating you like family. I'm having a discussion with you. We're talking about real shit. We're getting down to the issue. We're getting down to things, and people just get too caught up in just themselves
and or taking sides and feeling like they have to focus on one thing or 100%. Be in this camp or subscribe to this particular position or whatever.
People are allowed to have their own thought process. People are allowed to make their own decisions. People are allowed to make their own beliefs. Like when politics come up, I try and dodge politics because it's the fastest way to lose your friends, because they feel some type of way about one thing, and you know, like you feel some type of way about another thing. You're like, fuck you, I hate you. Like, dude, like it's dumb. You're dividing yourself. Like, I have friends who are big on one side and I have friends who are big on the other side. And I love them both the same. Like, we have a conversation, we talk about it, like, and we push it on and keep moving. Let's go watch the game, you know?
Yeah. So there's a lot of people worldwide that could take that advice, I think, and
100%.
And try to work a little harder on it. You mentioned calling, but it's also a gift, man. It is a gift. And it's the best part about the fact that you have the gift is that you're using the gift. And that's what fires me up, you know, when people recognize, you know, what they've been given, and, you know, at the same time, not when I say take advantage of it, I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, leverage it to do good things. And, that's what you're doing, man. And that's how we got connected, or, you know, through that network. I imagine there's people that, you know, you mentioned Instagram. I know you're on Instagram. People can find you there. You mentioned you're on Instagram. I know you're on LinkedIn. People can find you there. But if somebody wants to reach out and chat with you, you know, or, you know, just get to know you or be part of, you know, get a little mic in their life.
Get a little mic in their life.
How do they find you, man?
Instagram is the best way. Yeah. At It's Mike Lee, at ITS Mike MikeLee. I'm the first search person, hopefully. And you just get to see a piece of my life. Like when I do Instagram, I do it raw. Like I have clients that follow me on Instagram. Like if you follow me, like last weekend we did a crazy not toxic shoot at Nova Club in downtown San Jose, popping bottles, going crazy. And then the next day I'm talking about like, you know, business related stuff, or, you know, whatever's going on in my life. Like I'm the same person on and off the court, right? Like you talk to me here, the same person can see on Instagram, the same person you're going to see if you see me outside.
It's refreshing.
You know, like I like to be authentic. Like that's my thing, is authenticity. So if you want, that's the best way to catch me and see what I'm doing. I post too often every day. But yeah, and then LinkedIn, Mike Lee, like I branded it that way. So you can search Mike Lee on most platforms, Instagram. It's Mike Lee on most platforms, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. I'm not a TikTok guy. I can't do all the dance things, you know what I'm saying? But you know, that's the best way to get hold of me.
Right, man. You know, reach out, touch base with Mike. Guaranteed it's a good time every time. I appreciate you coming down, man.
Dude, thanks for having me.
I can't wait to do this again. Like we'll have to turn the mics off and take the phones off and hang out.
Oh, dude, I'm always down. I'm always down.
Good, let's do it.
Cool, sweet.
All right, man. Thanks again.
All right, thanks for having me.